In the world of personal watercraft, a battle has been fought for years to determine who makes the better machine. Today, we pit two of the big names in the industry against each other. Manufacturing PWC since 1968 and hailing from the country of Canada, it's Sea-Doo. And making PWC since 1986 and hailing from the country of Japan, it's Yamaha. Who will reign supreme?
Hey everybody, this is Captain Frank from the Ship's Log, and I'm back again. I know it's been a while since I put a video out, but I had a whole bunch of stuff going on that I had to take care of. But here we are again, glad to be back. And this time we're going to be talking about who makes the best ski. I tell you one thing, if you want to start a fight, go into a PWC group on Facebook and ask who makes best ski. That is something that people are just passionate about. And it's actually good to see that, but unfortunately sometimes people go a little overboard with it. But what I'm going to talk about today is what I think is the best ski out there. Not necessarily the best specific ski model, but who makes the best ski between Yamaha and Sea-Doo, because those seem to be the ones that people are always bickering about. And I know that some people are going to wonder, well, why is he talking about Kawasaki as well? Because Kawasaki obviously makes a good ski as well. And to be honest, two reasons. The first reason is there are not as many of them out there as there are Sea-Doos and Yamahas. And of course, the second reason, because there are not that many out there, I really haven't had a lot of experience with them. My very first ski that I ever bought a long time ago was a Kawasaki, but that was 20 years ago. So as far as the newer models, the ones they have today, I don't have that much to say about them because I really haven't had any experience with them. And I know the other thing that some people are probably going to say as well was, like, for people, if you've watched my channel, you know I have a Yamaha. I'm a Yamaha guy. So I know the thought is that, well, maybe I'm just going to be partial because I own a Yamaha. That's not the intent here. It's my intent to actually be as honest as I can about the features and everything about both sides and give the plus and minuses of each of the two players here, Sea-Doo and Yamaha. So yeah, my objective is to be impartial. Do I have extremely scientific data and so on and so forth that I'm using here? No, this is based on my opinion, my experiences, conversations that I've had with people, either people that own them or people that work on them, mechanics and so on and so forth. So it's all based on that. Obviously, there's going to be some folks out there that disagree with me. And I welcome that. Just, I welcome those comments down below, but just, again, be respectful of everybody when you make those comments. So what I've done is I've broken it up into 6 different categories that I think are important to people who own a PWC. At least these are categories that seem to be important to the folks that I typically hang with and communicate with and so on and so forth. So here are the categories that I'm going to look at for this. The first one is, the styling. How does it look? Styling, the color, general look. Reliability, obviously very important. Comfort and handling. Efficiency. How far can you go in a gallon of gas, and so on and so forth. Not sure this is a real word, but I'm going to call it modability. In other words, there's a lot of folks out there, the first thing they want to do when they buy a ski is they want to put mods on it, make it faster, make it handle better, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to talk about, that's one of my categories. And of course, innovation. So those are the things that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to try to grade each of the manufacturers in those particular areas and declare a winner in each one of those areas to see if we can come with an overall who we think is the best, or at least who I think is the best. Anyway, so before we get started, do me a favor, smash that like button, let everybody know that you like the video. It definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm, it definitely helps my channel. Also, if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe as well. Now, let's get started. Okay, so the first category is styling and colors. Personally, I think both manufacturers have really good looking skis. I know that when I bought mine, or when I first saw mine, it was really the color that got me. You know, that gray on black, that just had really a nice badass look, and I fell in love with that, and I am so happy that I was able to get one of those. And I still love it. You know, at this point I really haven't seen anything else out there that I think I would buy just based on the looks alone. But now when you also look at a Sea-Doo, and you know, whether it's the RXTX, RXPX, whatever, those are really nice looking machines as well. They tend to have a kind of a lower, more sleek look, if you will. I call it a low slung look. I'm not sure if that's the proper meaning, but you know, really nice looking machines. Both of them have colors that, both of them have color schemes that really work. And then there's some other color schemes that it's like, okay, where did you come up with that? So I'm not quite sure who's doing the designing as far as the color schemes are concerned, but as far as the actual style and the lines, if you will, of the machine, both of them are really nice. But that low slung look I think is really badass if you put the right colors on it. I think you got a really, really, really nice looking ski. So for the styling and colors, I think I'm going to give that first category to Sea-Doo.
Advantage Sea-Doo.
Okay, so for the second category, reliability. The first thing we have to understand is anybody who has, whether it's a ski, a car, a boat, a motorcycle, whatever, you got to take care of it. And it doesn't matter what you have, if you don't take care of it, it's not going to service you very well. But keeping that in mind, looking at reliability, and this, a lot of this comes from actually talking to mechanics who actually work on both models. It does seem that Sea-Doos do require more fixing than Yamahas do. You know, they both have had their issues in the past. Sea-Doo's had some big ones, the carbon seal being one of them, and so on and so forth. But I know that it seems like the shop that actually I purchased mine, and I actually go back to for maintenance every once in a while, it seems like whenever I go there, there's a lot more Sea-Doos in there to be fixed than there are Yamahas in there to be fixed. I have actually towed, or had to tow more than one Sea-Doo out on the water. I've never had to tow a Yamaha. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because obviously it does happen. But just kind of keeping my ear to what's going on out there and listening to other people's experiences and what they're talking about. For some reason, the Yamahas seem to not have as many issues as the Sea-Doos do. I do know one thing: the parts to do repairs for Sea-Doos are cheaper than the parts to do repairs for Yamahas. So, you know, everything else being the same, if you need a certain part, say a supercharger for your Sea-Doo versus somebody needing a supercharger for your Yamaha, you're probably going to pay less for that Sea-Doo supercharger. But then again, you're probably going to have to do that kind of repair work less on your Yamaha if you happen to have a Yamaha. So so for that particular category, for the reliability, I think Yamaha has the win for that one.
Advantage Yamaha.
Okay, for comfort and handling. Now, I do realize that this is kind of a matter of personal choice. Some people might feel comfortable on one ski and not on the other, and it may work exactly the opposite for somebody else. So I am kind of talking in general terms here. Again, generally I think both of them make some pretty comfortable skis. But I think if you look at some of the things that Sea-Doo has, they have an ergonomic seat. They actually have that notch that you can put your knees into to kind of hold on to the ski. If you're doing tight maneuvers, you're going fast, you're having a lot of fun out there. That feature personally doesn't work for me because I'm really tall. But you know, at 6'8", I don't think they were really designing that ski for somebody my height. So, but I know for a lot of other people who are normal height, if you will, they tend to like that. And it works really well for them. So I think that even though I'm very comfortable on my ski, which is an FX, I think a lot of people do like the comfort of the Sea-Doos. I think the Sea-Doos also have a little bit, in general, of course it depends on the model, but in general I think the Sea-Doos also have a little bit drier ride than some of the Yamahas do. I know the one I have, the FX, it's the 21 FX. This is something that actually Yamaha has changed for 22. But and you get into choppy water, it can be a little bit of a wet ride unless you trim up a little bit. And from what I understand, most people don't have that issue with the Sea-Doos. So I think the Sea-Doos are probably a little bit of a drier ride as well. The FX, I think, is probably one of the best machines for big water. So if you're planning on riding out there in the ocean, you know, doing some major riding, crossing the Bahamas, which is one thing we're going to be doing later on this year, I think the FX is a really, really good machine for that. And it's a really nice ride in rough water compared to other machines. That being said, however, I think that category is still going to go to Sea-Doo.
Advantage Sea-Doo.
Next, let's talk about efficiency. How far can you go on a gallon of gas? Now, we all know ultimately how far you can go on a gallon of gas is going to depend on what the conditions are like. How much weight do you have on your machine? What are the weather conditions like? Is the water rough? And so on and so forth. But we're talking about all things being the same. You put a Sea-Doo next to a Yamaha, your guys are taking the same trip in the same water, going the same speed. Who is going to go further on a tank of gas? Okay, so that's what we're talking about. You might have remembered, gosh, I guess a couple of months ago, I did a video on superchargers and whether or not superchargers really do use a lot more fuel than naturally aspirated skis. And generally, yes, they do. But if you remember, there was a fuel chart that showed that they didn't always use more fuel than a naturally aspirated ski. Well, it just so happens in that same fuel chart, they also showed a comparison between different models. And if you actually look at similar models between Sea-Doo and Yamaha, the Yamahas were way more fuel efficient at pretty much any speed, whether it was their best speed, the most fuel efficient speed, or whether it was wide open throttle, the Yamahas simply went further on a gallon of gas. They went significantly further on a tank of fuel. And in my experiences, of course, we do a lot of rides with a lot of different people. And you do a ride where you've got 20 or 30 skis. Of course, some are Kawasaki, some are Sea-Doos, some are Yamahas. So we experience this all the time. On some of the longer rides, it's always the Sea-Doos that actually have to stop and get fuel, even though they have the same size tank as we do. So not quite sure why that is, but for that reason, this particular category, fuel efficiency, the winner is Yamaha.
Advantage Yamaha.
Okay, now let's talk about Modability. Again, not sure that's a real word, but what I mean by that is if you're one of those people that wants to buy a ski and then get it to go as fast as you can, which one is the easier one to make do that? So So yeah, you see a lot of people doing this, whether it's a CD, whether it's Yamaha, so on and so forth. Now, when you talk about stock, let's take an FX Cruiser SVHO. So you've got a supercharged SVHO or supercharged engine that's going to get you at max output, somewhere around 280, 290 horsepower. And then if you compare that against an RXTX or RXPX, you're probably getting about 300 horsepower. So that's stock. That's nothing done to it, no modifications or anything like that. So, but you want to get more than that out of it. If you look at the Sea-Doo, you're looking at basically a 1600cc engine, 3 cylinders. And in order to get that 300 or so horsepower, whatever, I think it's something about 8 pounds of boost or something in order to get that. You're looking at the Yamaha, you're looking at an 1800cc engine, so it's the largest displacement engine, 4 cylinders. In order to get what it's getting, like I said, 280, 290 or so, yeah, you're a couple of pounds of boost. It's not much at all. So you're not having to do as much to get similar performance out of that same engine. So let's assume you're trying to go higher than that. So theoretically, if you've got a larger displacement engine already, and let's assume that we decide we want to get to 350 horsepower. Okay, so you look at that 1.8 liter that Yamaha has. You only need, say, 2 pounds of boost to get what you're getting now, to get up to, say, 350. And I'm just throwing numbers out because I'm not sure exactly what it would be, but maybe that means you're going to have to get 10 pounds of boost. So compare that to, say, the Sea-Doo, which is a 1600cc engine. You're already using 8 pounds of boost just to get the 300 you want. So if you want to get to 350, I don't know, maybe it's going to take you 14 pounds. And again, I'm not sure how accurate these numbers are, but I'm just giving this as an example. So it's going to take a lot more to get that similar power out of that smaller Sea-Doo engine than it's going to take to get it out of the larger Yamaha engine. So now I know there's also things such as availability of parts and all that kind of stuff as well. I get it. But when it comes to just, hey, how much more do I have to do to it in order to get a certain amount of power out of it, I think Yamaha's going to win on this one, because they're already starting you out with a bigger engine. You're already starting out with more to play with, if you will. So, win for Yamaha.
Advantage Yamaha.
Okay, our last category is innovation. In other words, who's coming up with the great ideas, who's coming up with new technologies, and so on and so forth. So again, you look at any one of the PWC manufacturers, they have different models and things. They want to try to make everybody happy, so they have different sizes, different performance levels, and so on and so forth. So you're going to get that whether you're talking about a Sea-Doo, whether you're talking about a Yamaha, or even whether you're talking about a Kawasaki. So the question is who's coming up with the different ideas that nobody's done before. And I think when you look at the lineup that the different manufacturers have, I mean, I think probably everybody already knows this without me even saying anything. That's got to go to Sea-Doo. I mean, you look at some of the things they've done, they have a lot of things that aren't just a good jet ski. I mean, yeah, it's based on a good jet ski platform, but when you look at things like the Fish Pro that they've come out with recently, if you're a diehard fisherman, man, that's a perfect platform if you want to be able to fish off of a jet ski, off of a Sea-Doo. And they've, man, they I think personally, they've knocked it out of the box with that. If you've seen the Sea-Doo Switch, man, that thing is cool. Again, this is something they just recently came out with as well. I actually saw one in person recently when I was down riding in Florida. That's a cool looking vehicle. And I think those things are going to sell like hotcakes. People are going to love those things. It's something that I don't think anybody else has ever done before. So that's just another example of what they're doing. You know, they were the first to come out with some of the things that are now common on just about everybody's platform, things like launch control and IDF and reverse and things like that. But when you look at the stuff that they're still coming out with and that they're still doing, I know they have a system now that'll automatically clear debris that might get sucked up into your machine. Yeah, they've still got some bugs to some kinks to work out, but I think it's a great idea. And I think once they do get those kinks worked out, I mean, it's probably going to be something that some of the other manufacturers eventually pick up. So yeah, they're coming out with some really great stuff. Yeah, Yamaha is, you know, they came out with the rec deck. I think they're trying to compete with some of the CD models, the Fish Pro and so on and so forth. They came out with the rec deck, so you can actually, you know, put additional seats or put a cooler rack or whatever on your machine. And I like it, it's nice. But you know, at an extra $1,000 just for the deck, and then additional money, maybe $300, $400, $500 for whatever option you want to put on it, that can be kind of pricey. Whereas Sea-Doo has one that you can actually buy and it's already set up for those kind of things. So no doubt, this one is this advantage definitely goes to Sea-Doo on this. Probably the biggest innovators in the industry, in my opinion. I know we're not talking about Kawasaki, but Kawasaki did come out with some neat stuff this year on their, I think it was their 310. They came out with some neat stuff. They got backup cameras and docking lights and stuff like that. Really cool. But I don't think anybody right now has anything that compares to the innovation that Sea-Doo currently has. So big win for them on that.
Advantage Sea-Doo.
So let's see where we're at. The first category, styling and colors, that went to Sea-Doo. The second category, reliability, that went to Yamaha. Third category, comfort and handling, that went to Sea-Doo. Fourth category, efficiency, that went to Yamaha. Fifth category, modability, also went to Yamaha. And the sixth category, innovation, that goes to Sea-Doo. So what does that mean? I guess it means we have a tie. But you know what? When it really comes down to it, look at what's available and buy the best thing for you. That's what I did. I did all my research. I decided which one that I liked based on all of these particular categories, and I ordered it. And when it came in, I started having fun. And I think that's what all of us should do. The fact is, we're all one brotherhood. If you meet somebody and you like to ride, they like to ride, who cares if you have a Yamaha and they have a Sea-Doo? It doesn't matter. Just go riding, have fun together. If one of y'all needs help, give them help. You know, just look at it that way. I think the more we look at it that way, the more we're going to have a lot more fun. But we get to do something that, when you think about it, we get to do something that most other people don't get to do. We get to get out there on our Yamaha, our Sea-Doo, our Kawasaki, and we get to have fun. So whatever you think about it, don't forget that. Help your fellow brother, you help your fellow sister, enjoy it together, and hey, that's all I got to say. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you haven't liked the video, you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Please share it with anybody who you feel it could be useful to, or they just might enjoy it. And until next time, this is Captain Frank. Happy riding.